Oh my gosh.
I told you I was going to pick on you. I didn't. You're fine.
Can you repeat the question?
Now everybody in the room is going to be like, oh no, it's that kind of presentation. So I'm just kidding. You don't have to. But I'm asking, what comes to mind when we think about connection? I'll say something that I think comes to mind for most of us and for myself. What comes to mind is networking, right? You think about like putting yourself out there and networking and, surrounding yourself with people. And I think that that's awesome, right? That's what we're here to do today. We're here to network. We're here to create those connections. But I want you all to stop for a moment. I want you to pause and I want you to think about a whole different connection, okay? And I'm going to encourage you to think about an internal connection. Think about an internal connection with yourself that I think that often we overlook. We're so worried about, the hustle and bustle and the where am I supposed to be and who am I supposed to know? But I think that, a really important thing is our own internal connection with our own purpose and our own internal drivers. So today, while we are, gathering and we have a lot of exciting things to talk about, we're going to talk about issues that we face as individuals, not issues, but challenges, right? Challenges, obstacles we face as individuals, as professionals, as women, as men. We're going to hear from Candace in a few minutes here as she shares her lifelong journey that's been filled with challenges, obstacles, but have also opened many doors for her. Many, many doors that have led to opportunity and ultimately, may I say, joy.
Yes.
May I say joy and peace. So I encourage you today to really think about ways in which you can connect, or maybe for some of you, really reconnect with your own purpose. We all have to work for a living. I'm raising my hand. We have to work for a living. But yeah. But that's not what gets me up in the morning. It's the fact that I feel like I have a purpose and I have something bigger and I'm connecting with my own internal drivers. Do I wake up every morning and feel like that's the case? Nope. I don't feel like that every day. People probably think that, and I've been accused of being fake because I can put on a good smile. But you know what? It's about really making the time and the space to connect with yourself. So I really want us to think about that today and think about, think about those times you've already overcome obstacles. You've already overcome so many obstacles on your own journey. And I want us to pause today and celebrate that. Really think about it. You're going to hear about Candace and her experience. Later, we're going to have our panel where we're going to learn from each other. But stop and think about all of those things you've already overcome. Bathe in self-appreciation and think, wow, I've really overcome a lot in my life. And I'm really proud of where I'm at. And, I think that that's important that we pause and do that today. Every day, right? I always like to say that this journey, it really is a never-ending roller coaster. Just when I think I have it all figured out, I'm on a new ride. I'm like, what the heck? This doesn't buckle the same way. There's a upside down part and there's a big drop. But you know what? It's just part of the journey. So I want us to really stop and, really look in the rearview mirror. Stop today and look in your rearview mirror and think about, what? It's not just about the challenges in front of me. It's about the challenges I've already overcome. And how can I apply all of the lessons that I've learned from that rearview mirror into that crazy obstacle course in front of me that's filled with ambiguity and question and uncertainty and fog and smog and tar and COVID and backaches and a long list of things. But, I think one thing too that we also underestimate is that little thing that we call what? Our gut feeling. I have so many things I could say about this gut feeling thing. Some of you call it what? Intuition. Yeah, that's another one. Honestly, you know what it is? It is you. It's your own voice, and it's not really whispering. It's nagging, but a lot of times it's screaming at us to be like, wake up, Kate. You've learned this lesson 10 times. Why are you not listening to me, to my own intuition, my own experience? So, let's really stop and think about that. Something some of you have heard me say is, that intuition is what I call often, sadly, an inconvenient truth, right? You're sitting in that space where it's just you alone, faced with an obstacle or a challenge or something or someone that you feel is holding you back. guess what? There's an inconvenient truth there that you may have to face and make hard decisions to overcome those obstacles. It may be a person, it may be somebody at work, it may be something financial related, it may be the things you're hearing in the news that are, burdening us down. But, we have to really stop and try to recenter what's important to us. You can find that in yourself, right? You need to find that in yourself, but you can find that too just from connecting and being vulnerable in events like this. I've been to events where there's been 1 million people, hundreds of people. This is an intimate event, right? Where we can really connect with an amazing author, an inspirational woman here, Candace, but also with each other. We're all working here every day together, all day, every day. Why? Because we choose to. Every one of you here has an opportunity to go somewhere else. And God knows many people have. But you're here. You're here and you're here for a reason. And part of it's because of congruency, taking the time as individuals to pull us together and for us to just stop and reflect. It's not just about closing the deals, right? It's not just about what's the next thing that we're going to, put in our benefits. It's about coming together as humans and growing as humans. So I really want us to stop and think about that today. As I said, in a few moments, I'm going to be turning things over to Candace. We're honored to have you here, Candace, seriously. An author, inspirational tech leader, and I was fortunate enough to already see your podcasts and read your bio. Not your book yet, but I'm working on it. But all of that pales in comparison to the energy that I felt for meeting you for the first time in person last night. So truly, truly fortunate to introduce you today. Following Candace's presentation, we are also going to connect together doing some panel discussions. And we're going to be able to discuss some of our own journey, share with each other, obstacles that we have had, learn from each other. And it doesn't have to end here. It's not going to end just after the panel and we all get in our hot cars and our pools. If you have one, we're ready to your house. But it's not going to end. I don't want it to end here. I want it to resonate through concurrency. And this shouldn't just be a congruency thing, right? This should be something that we're taking away every day and thinking about, reconnecting to our purpose. So following Candace's presentation, we're going to talk about some key things. Some of the things that I want you to start thinking about and reflecting on are, what are some of the obstacles that you've faced in your career thus far? What are some of those things that you're willing to share? I have a long list of obstacles and a long list of challenges. And the minute I thought I had them figured out, as I said earlier, it's like a whole new set of those. But, I have mentors. And, when I say I have mentors, they're not just individuals that are older than me or wiser than me, right? They're people that have SNAT, you've come into my life recently. I look to you for so many things. So many of you in this room, lean on each other and find people that inspire you to help you through those things that we call those challenges. Some other things we're going to talk about, situations where you feel like you've needed to prove yourself in a professional setting. We've had lunch and learns on this, right? Who's heard of imposter syndrome? Yeah, me for sure. How about where you felt the most inspired? It's not just about the obstacles. It's about, wow, this is something that really resonated with me or helped me through those times. And passion. Talk about passion for personal change, passion for personal growth. It's not going to come from somewhere else. You're going to be inspired by individuals and keynote speakers and maybe a book or a bumper sticker. But, you have to take all those things and you have to figure out, what does it really mean to me when I am alone and I'm sitting in that hot car? What is that purpose? So thinking about all those things we've learned, resonating and sharing is, I think, going to be really cool today. Thank you for spending your precious time here, all of you. I am now going to turn things over to you, Candace, author of Unspoken, podcaster, an amazing IT professional and inspiration to me in just a short period of time. I'm excited to turn things over to you. Welcome, Candace.
Thank you.
Try not to leave much of a ruckus.
Well, thank you so much, Kate, for that wonderful introduction. I am so humbled and honored to be here today. you really set the tone for what I'm about to speak on. When I think about my journey, my career path, and even just what I experienced as a child and how I shined a light on my darkness. And really that's what kind of drove me to this path. And, you know, you look at my name up there and you see all these titles, but I'm here to tell you, you don't need a title to be a leader, period. Just point blank. Someone told me that during my journey, and it really hit me hard because, you know, we go through transformation. You have to pivot, you have to change, you have to technology. Things are so fast and furious. And it's like, how do I stay up or how do I keep up with the Joneses? So, you know, today I'm going to speak to the women, but again, to the male audience that's here, thank you. And to Minnesota, hey, I got family in Minnesota, so I feel right at home. But I really want the women to feel empowered, to be empowered, to really think about your journey. Where have you come? And just like Kate said, we're too busy trying to figure out what's our next move, what's the next game. When we got to be present in today. If COVID has taught us anything, it's to like just center yourself and be in your space. So, you know, I want the women to be empowered. I want you to think about how can you be empowered within business, your business realm, in the tech world, but just most importantly, within life. Because life, you go through this life journey but once. You got one chance to do what you want to do with this life. So I want you to think about owning and finding and claiming, because I'm real big on, when you talked about connection, I think about divine design. I meet people by divine design. It's not an accident that I'm here. There was a reason why I'm here. I believe that wholeheartedly. And so, you know, when I see my name on the screen and I see healthcare IT professional, and then I see motivational speaker, and I see author, and podcast host and a life coach and an entrepreneur, and I'm a business owner, I'm a boss lady of my own company. It's like, it took me 50 years. I'm 50 years old. I'm proud to say I'm 50. I have 2 adult children. I have grandchildren, and I have come a long way from where I started in Racine, Wisconsin. I'm humbled from Racine, Wisconsin. So just again, thank you, Concurrency, for having me here today. Thank you to all the virtual audience, to the people in Minnesota. I'm glad that you're all here. My goal really is I want that word empowered to be part of your genetic makeup. Make that word part of what you do every single day when you get up. And today's Thursday, and I call today Thankful Thursday, and I'm thankful to be here. So the next question I want to raise to you is, how many times in your path, your journey, when you were a kid, did you get asked this question? What do you want to be when you grow up? All right? Think about that. How many times has your mom said that, your friends, your colleagues, your coworkers? And, you know, when I think about that question, I ask every day. And about 2 years ago, I really finally figured out what I want to be when I grow up. And like I said, I wrote this book and I created my podcast, and I really became an advocate, not only for myself with my story, which I'll talk about soon, but also an advocate for others. I have a personal responsibility to inspire, encourage, and uplift others. That is now what my mission is, my personal mission. So, you know, I just want you to think about this. And, you know, I remember I wanted to be a teacher, and I was always playing office at home, and like I was the teacher, and my cousins and my friends were, you know, the students, and then I had a little calculator, and I just remember that. And so, you know, how many times have you even thought about starting over, right? Starting a new position, a new job function, or maybe your current role isn't serving you, or you feel like I want more, but I'm not getting more here. And it's okay. It's okay to say, you know what, maybe I need to close this chapter and move on to the next. So really, this question can be asked throughout your journey. And there's been many times where I've doubted myself. How many times you doubt yourself, you question your worth. You wonder if, you know, your fear of the unknown, you're not sure of how to navigate that path, your career. What is the next step? And again, stop worrying about the future. Think about how far you've come from where you were even 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You know, if you started out as an intern, celebrate that journey. And for me, when I thought about my preparing for this speech and preparing to come here and inspire you, was like, gosh, yes, I can check the boxes, but have I made a difference? Have I changed? Have I made a difference and changed the world that I live in? And that's what I want you to think. And it's never too late to figure out what you want to be when you grow up. And it's never too late to press that reset button. Never too late. And to start over. refresh, renew, rejuvenate, whatever you got to do, it's never, never too late. So I want this question to be in the back of your mind as we go through this presentation, because again, it's about reflection, and I'm all about you being engaged on thinking about your path and how you got here today. So what I want to share with you today is just to be empowered and owning and finding and claiming what your purpose is. So I'll talk about celebrating the journey. And again, you pausing and thinking about your journey. And then how do you inspire and encourage and uplift others? I'll kind of share a little bit about what I've been doing. And then just the power of women. We have superpowers. I don't care what anybody says. We are multitaskers. We are sheroes. We are role models to our kids, to your family members. And I just appreciate the fact that, you know, when you look at yourself personally and you own your stuff, you can grow, thrive, and succeed in anything you do, both personally and professionally, because it's all related. And then really, what are your goals and your dreams? Think about that and your passion and your purpose, and just pursue it. Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. You know, I lived in the fear of the unknown for many, many years. I carried a lot of baggage, and I was lucky to get in the healthcare profession. And being in healthcare, it helped me to assess my mental health, my well-being. So I was very fortunate. But really, I want you to celebrate your journey. It's never too late to reinvent yourself. And I just want you to remember that. So I thought this was a really great picture because I feel like when you celebrate the journey, and I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about my journey, but I just love this graphic because your life, you're always under construction. You're always kind of developing, right? You're always changing. You're navigating that road. You run into those obstacles, those cones, and you should look at them as opportunities. All right, I'm going to tackle this opportunity, this challenge, this obstacle, and I'm going to knock it down. And you're always a work in progress. Quit beating yourself up. I beat myself up all the time. It's me against me. And so you have to think about what's that mindset that you're going to have. And you have to invest in yourself along that journey, right? It's investing in yourself so that you're becoming the better person. You empower yourself. Again, that word empower. And it's always to celebrate that journey. So when you think about your journey, think about where you were and think about where you are today and celebrate it and be happy in the present. Just think about that. Be happy in the present. And every step that you take is a step in your direction of where you need to go. And again, I believe in divine design. Think about the people that you met along your journey. The people you reported to, your team members. And I believe what Kate said, it does take a village. I was lucky enough that when I entered the workforce, I was 19 years old. I had 2 daughters, and I had good people around me in the professional setting. I had people to model, to look up to respect. And all those people have made a difference in my life. And I contribute a lot of my success to those individuals. And there were some leaders that were really tough on me, but there was a reason for it. There were some leaders that were coaching me, and I didn't want to hear what they had to say because I was kind of dealing with certain things in my life, and I was dealing with trauma, and I didn't know how to navigate that. And it was just interesting how the people around me were the ones that were pushing me to be a better person. Candace, you can be a better version of yourself. And you have to trust those around you and build those relationships, build those connections. That's what it's all about. And really for my own journey, you know, I didn't get to this point without navigating that same road that all of you have navigated. And I think the greatest piece of advice that I got from someone when I got stuck on during that course of that path was, Candace, you don't need a title to lead. I remember one of the organizations that I worked for was going through full transformation, and I lost my title as a director. I lost all my direct reports. They no longer reported to me. I had to reapply for my position 4 times, and that just brought my confidence down. I felt like I wasn't valued. Nobody thought I was, you know, I went to school for my education, and all of a sudden just things are changing around me, and I feel lost and I feel discombobulated. And I just had to pick up the pieces and remind myself that this is just part of the journey. So when things get tough, right, those challenges that you have, you can overcome them. And so that was really key about, you don't need a title to lead. That was something that stuck with me forever. And so I want to talk about my journey only because I feel being a healthcare IT professional, I didn't get here. It took a lot of work to get here, and I had to do a lot of work on myself. When you look at this slide, it talks, this is pretty much like almost my resume, right? And I look at this, and when you think about your resume and all the positions you've held, think about that, the time that has gone on, the positions you've held. From 1990, I was 19 years old. I started out working in the medical, with Curtin Medical Group down in Racine, and I was a receptionist taking patient appointments. In 2003, I made a transition, and that's where I actually kind of got my break, right? I went to be working in IT, and they believed in me enough to say, Candace, we believe that you can do this position. And it's so funny, in healthcare, they call IT the dark side. And so I crossed over from to the dark side, and I actually mastered that. And that was when I went back to school. I went back to school and got my bachelor's degree in IT, and I went back and got my MBA. And so I was constantly working on myself during my healthcare position. And honestly, I used to think of it as just the job. I just collected a paycheck. It was a job. And my mindset shifted. I started to look at it as a career because I started to grow and develop personally, professionally. The people around me were like believing in me. And that's what it takes. It takes others to believe in you before you can believe in yourself. And like I said, when you have good people around you, good leaders mentoring and coaching you, anything is possible. And you can do anything that you want. And again, I didn't really know what was all going to happen with my life. This was my life painted on a slide. But when I think back to all the things that I've learned, everything that I had to celebrate that. I looked at this slide, I'm like, wow, we have to celebrate all of the things that you've accomplished thus far. And then I remember in 2012, I finally landed my first management role. I mean, that was a big deal for me. I was female, Hispanic. I landed a management role, and that was kind of unseen. And I remember the girls in the office saying, Candace, great job. Oh my God, way to represent. I felt like, okay. I was just happy that I actually got offered a chance. It took me 3 times to become a manager. I tried 3 times, but I never gave up. And I remember when I landed that position, I felt so accomplished. I finally had my position, and I was making a difference, and I was the tech services manager, and, it really mattered to me. And then shortly thereafter, I became a director. They saw my skills, they saw my talents, they saw me lead my team through change. They saw me lead my team through transformation. And I held my team accountable for the work that they were doing. And that's a huge thing. It's holding your people accountable, right? And I became the go-to person. I was the go-to person, and, I felt like I was on top of the world. But I can say that in 2014, there was a shift that happened. Our organization started going through transformational changes in 2016. That's where I kind of described those position changes. They took away my title. They took away my staff. I was feeling a little lost. I lost my confidence, and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And I felt as if I might lose my position, or they would give me my severance package and I would exit the door. And then what would I do next? Oh my God, I've been in corporate healthcare IT. And if I don't have a position, how am I going to pivot? What am I going to do? And I did some deep soul searching. And after 29 years, so when I talk about the reset button and I talk about starting over, I left an organization after 29 years of tenure, and I started over with a brand new organization, and I was scared. Can I swear? No, I'm just kidding. I was scared out of my wits end. I just was like so nervous. I didn't know if I was going to succeed. I didn't know if I was going to make a difference with this new organization, but I'm so happy. It was the best decision that I made. But again, during that transformation, it pushed me. It pushed me to do something, and I stepped out of my comfort zone. And I hired a life coach, and I invested in myself. And that life coach said to me, Candace, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? If your job did let you go tomorrow, what would you do? And just like we have performance reviews, she said, create an action plan of how you foresee your life, right? So at that point, I was celebrating where I had been, but now I was thinking about where do I want to go? And that really helped me to define and catapult me to the next phase of what I needed to do in my life. And so that's where I sat down and I knew I had a story. In 2017, the #MeToo movement was out. And I don't know if you know the statistics about child abuse. I was abused as a child from the age of 5 to 15. So prior to my 1990 career, I was dealing with a lot of trauma, a lot of baggage, a lot of difficulties in my life, but I overcame them. And so I published my book in 2020. And I can tell you that from 2017 to 2020, it took me 3 years to write the book, only because of the content. It was very hard to reopen the wounds. And the statistics are 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be assaulted by the time they're 18. And those are the ones that report. And my story is I never reported, and I have forgiven, and I've changed wholeheartedly from inside out. I have healed. I have gone through therapy. I have gone through tons of coaching, mentoring. And, you know, when the Me Too movement came out, I knew I had a story to tell. I was just, you know, a local girl just wanting to tell my story. And 2020, when COVID hit, I finally was silent. I was celebrating my success of my career, but now I'm like, I need to take charge of my life and I need to do something different. I need to pivot. And then the book was launched, and COVID, I was afraid I would catch COVID and never tell my story. So that's what pushed me to get my book completed in 2020. And during my book process, I also created my podcast, which launched last June, almost coming up on a year old. And it's Unspoken Conversations with Candace. And so really, this is what I do now is when I talk about my advocacy work, you know, I took all of my skills in my IT, right? All of my skills, my talents. And now I kind of pivoted and I morphed into my own business sense. I said, I want to be my own business owner. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to inspire and encourage people. And that's what I did. I created this space so that I can help be an impact and encourage and uplift others. And as women, right, we need to do that for one another. We need to encourage and inspire and uplift one another and cheer for each other and be there to support when you're having a bad day and be happy when someone gets promotion. I don't know how many times, you know, I would kind of roll my eyes if I didn't get a promotion, but my friend in the cubicle did, or, you know, she got a good review and I didn't. And I had to stop focusing on comparison. I had to stop worrying about her in the next cube. I had to worry about myself. And like I said, I did the work, and I'm very proud of the work that I did because now I get to make an impact. And who doesn't want to make an impact? And I took a leap of faith, you know, and thank God for those organizational changes that we all probably experience, right, through your careers, through your journey. It will pivot you and push you to your next level. But again, I was finally free of all the shame and the guilt and everything that I had felt. So this will be a plug for my book. It's Unspoken. It's available on Amazon, and you can listen to my podcast on Amazon Music and all types of social platforms. But, you know, I just really want you to know that everybody has a story, and, you know, treat people with kindness, because literally I feel like now I can make a difference and I can literally help to save someone's life. And I'm living in my light. I'm no longer living in the darkness. And I believe that working in healthcare, being around good people, working in IT, helped catapult me to this position. So again, it took me 50 years to finally figure out what I want to be when I grow up. And it's, you know, all of these things that I've kind of mastered to this point. So, and I'm not done. I still have lots of work to do. So, so I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned, you know, that I want you to make sure you're empowered and that you inspire and encourage and uplift others. So, you know, as I mentioned, power of women. We are stronger when we are together. We are stronger when we're working together. And you are a woman, which is just your superpower. So just own it and just be empowered day in and day out. And I feel that when you use your superpowers, I mean, you know, women, we multitask, and we are just always, I'm switching my notes. I apologize. Switching my notes. I don't want to lose my train of thought. Sorry. And as women, you know, we give birth to children. I mean, that's a superpower in itself. We are the masters of multitasking. We have to manage our households. We have to manage our families, our careers, any outside activities. I think we are all sheroes. We are all sheroes. And I just want to ask a question to the audience. How many of you are volunteers or volunteer outside, right? Community leadership. How many of you participate in your kids' sporting events? Coaches. How many of you are mentors to others? Those are your superpowers. So you are making a difference. And as women, we are naturally driving the economy, and we're naturally driving our communities. So I want to talk a little bit about education. I'm a firm believer in higher education. Education, I think, is key as to what contributes. So I know I went back to school, got my bachelor's and got my master's, and I remember wanting to apply for positions and I could not get into a leadership unless I had a degree. So I'm a big advocate on education. And really over the course of your life, I think just even getting self-learning, getting self-taught, reading a lot of books and making sure that you stay up with the technology and digital transformation that's happening. And the more that we are working, that we're in the environment, we're actually producing and our economies will grow. And women in business strengthen our communities. We are change agents. We are truly change agents in this day and age. And so I think that should be celebrated in itself. So thinking about growing and thriving and succeeding in life, sometimes that's hard to get to, but you want to put your superpower to work. First and foremost, I think everybody grows on a personal level, and you should always come first. And self-care is the best care. I think a lot of times during COVID, I think that kind of proved to me that you have to make sure you're taking care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, you know, and that will then feed into your business. It will feed into your IT career. As a business owner and entrepreneur, it has helped me tremendously. And, you know, as you think about whatever you're going to embark in, any of these things that help you grow and thrive and succeed personally, professionally, it's just going to benefit others. Again, talking about that impact. So I want to turn over to dreams, passion, and purpose. I remember when I was writing my book and I was putting the content of the book together, I did the same exercise. And so I thought this was a really good visual aid about how you, right, celebrating your journey, celebrating your career, what are you trying to chase? What are you trying to go after? Again, celebrating where you are today, but looking at your career and taking all of your experience, your goals, your skills, your education, your interests, your values, and pursuing it, because anything is possible. And I'm here to tell you that your past doesn't define who you're meant to be. And that took me a long time to figure that out. And your life really is just based on your dreams and your goals and your skills and your passion. It's writing it down, executing it, and making it happen. And really, by looking at your superpowers, finding your passion, your purpose, as long as you do those things, you'll never have to work a day in your life. Because when you do what you love, it's not considered work. And I know finally, like I said, going back to what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, when you think about your journey and you think about your career, what are you doing to celebrate that? What are you doing to making sure you're making a difference every day? And, you know, going back to the mindset, you know, when I wake up on a Monday, it's Motivational Monday. When I wake up on a Tuesday, it's a terrific Tuesday. A wonderful Wednesday, thankful Thursday, fantastic Friday, super Saturday, spiritual Sunday. I always want to make sure that I'm living and breathing in my dreams, in my passion, in my purpose, and that I wake up and I just go after it. I pursue it. I chase it. So make sure you're writing down an action plan and making sure that whatever you're doing, you're celebrating where you are today. I know you want to chase what's ahead of you. You want to chase the next position. You want to chase that next goal, but making sure you're taking time to pause on where you are today and celebrate it, because you are to be celebrated. You are to be empowered, because you can do anything you put your mind and heart into. So just some closing thoughts. I just want to think just back to where we started and how we'll end up. So what do you want to be when you grow up? What are you going to think about you want to, and again, like I said, it's never too late to do what you love. When you find what you love to do and you just do it, you'll never have to work a day in your life. Yes? No? Maybe so?
Yeah.
So any questions?
And for those on the call, if you
Yes.
type your question into the chat, I'll make sure to speak it. Don't pressure.
And I just want to say thank you. You know, it's you know, when you're kind of in your house all the time on Zoom and Teams, and then you actually get out and see people again, it's different. It's different. And I think, you know, when I try to leave the house, it's a build up to try to leave the house. I was talking to Tabitha last night and Kate and Megan and hey, Randy. You know, it's a whole different ballgame. I think COVID really changed the way I look at things and the way I interact. It's like you have to teach yourself all over again. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to speak and be here today, to hopefully inspire you, to be empowered, to make sure that you wake up every day to be the best version of yourself, and to enjoy how far you've come, that you're here today because you've worked hard to get here. And I'm impressed by all of you virtually. I'm impressed by all of you. So I hope that as you were walking through your journey and you were pausing to think about how far you've come and where you're yet going to go, but just to be present in today and be thankful. Because I think when you wake up in gratitude and you appreciate what you have and how you got here, the road will be easy. Those obstacles will come a lot easier. Yes, Megan.
Minnesota has a question. My guess is they want to speak it
Yes.
themselves.
Yes, this is Rachel, Minnesota. Janelle, you have a question, right?
Hi, Candace. Nice to see you. I really appreciate you sharing a little bit about your background. I actually also come from kind of a more healthcare background, do pharmacy, and I have been more of a non-traditional student. I was wondering how you transitioned from kind of that pediatric background into tech. Did you go within your company, and then how did you build up your skills within that time?
Yeah, great question. So I remember when I worked in the pediatric department, and then I worked in registration, I knew all of the operational functions for check-in, scheduling, registration, and putting the data into the system. I remember talking to patients and getting their insurance cards, and I remember IT. I used to always ask IT questions. How come the system doesn't do this? How come the system can't do that? And they were like, Candace, you need to work in IT. And I kind of chuckled. I laughed. I was like, nah, I don't want to work in IT. And I got really good at that job skill. And any position that I held, I asked tons of questions. And the billers, so when I worked in registration, funny story, I was creating a training manual. So I would talk to patients over the phone, and they would give me their insurance card over the phone. And I had to enter their HMO, their PPO, what payer they were into the computer system. But the drop downs didn't always specify what was on the card. So when patients presented, I took a copy of the card and I created a manual with Wausau Insurance, United Healthcare, Aetna. And then I started to share that with the registrars. Well, then the billers loved me. Why? Because that affected payment. We put the right insurance in, we got paid quicker, and there was no denial of bills. So then IT was like, she needs to work in IT because she knows how the system should work. And that's how I landed in IT. I actually remember we were switching from a DOS system. I was IDX. I don't know if any of you are familiar with IDX, but they had green bars. Oh my God, I'm old. Green bars, and we used to punch the clock with our cards. And I'll never forget, they were like, Candace, okay, so you know all this stuff, like figure this out. And yeah, I could tell you tons of stories, but yeah, so that's what I did. And then when I was in school, the cool thing is I went back to school to get a bachelor's degree in IT, but I was in IT. So I could take, school to work to school. And a lot of the projects that they assigned me at school in the classroom, I could take it right back to school or and I could apply it. And so we were doing flow charts, and we've improved a lot of processes because of my education in my office setting. I'll never forget. I'm like, can we do this for my project? And I would talk to everybody in the office, and it worked out. I mean, and that's how I learned. I remember we merged medical records, and I was on the SMERGE project. And I mean, you're really taking me back, but that's a lot to learn. And it took a lot to learn database. I remember I had no clue what a database was. They were talking about null fields and queries. I'm like, what are they talking about? And Min, it was difficult sometimes to understand her, but I sat down with her, and Min sat with me, and she's like, Candace, this is what a database is. This is what it does. This is what we mean. And because she taught me how a database functions and works, I was able to make sure that the processes and the things that we were entering into the system were correct, so that the reporting was happening on the back end. So that's kind of what I did. It just, again, I feel divine design. I was put in the right place at the right time with the right people, with the right team, teaching me as I went through my profession. You know, in my book, I write about my dedication, and I contribute a lot of my success and my journey to the people that were in my life throughout my journey. Those people are still my good friends. Being in healthcare for 29 years, I've networked with a lot of people, and I've volunteered, and I've rallied and supported other people. And it's nice to know now with my story that I have supporters for my story and my journey. So hopefully that answered your question.
We have another question
Yes.
in the chat, and before I ask it, I just want to say, I love that story. I feel like the asking of questions and the sort of like never satisfied with, you know, just the first answer also identifies so much to the people at Concurrency. I feel like we are the people who are sort of in a corporate environment that ask so many questions and want to break the things that are okay, see if we can make it better, and everyone's like, what's wrong with you? This is working. So I love that story for Concurrency too. The question in the chat is, how do we overcome challenges as a diverse woman in the tech world? And this is from Jackie.
You know, just taking your place and owning it. Like, don't be afraid. I remember going to a technology conference as a woman, Hispanic. I had manager on my badge, and, you know, predominantly, you know, male. And they were looking at me cross-eyed, like, what are you doing here? You don't belong here. Are you, you know? And I'm like, no, I belong here. I'm a manager of tech services. They're like, tech services? You deal with PC and printers? Yup, tablets, iPhones, all that. So just take your spot. Walk in with confidence. You're held head high. You worked hard to be there. Again, celebrating that journey. You're not there by mistake. You're there because you have purpose, and you're there because you worked hard to get to where you are. So own it, claim it, find it. You know, I believe in manifestation. I believe in the law of attraction. You know, I practice my faith only because that's what got me through to this point. I'm a firm believer, like I said, divine design, and by the grace of God that I'm still here. Because if you read my book, at the age of 15, I wanted to commit suicide. I thought I was pregnant by my stepfather, who sexually assaulted me, and so that was hard. And I don't want to give my book away too much. I want you to get it and read it. But again, you know, testimony to, you know, I had to deal with all that trauma. And I'm standing here to tell you that no matter what your past is, whatever struggles you went through, it doesn't define who you are meant to be. And you can live in this purpose. You take your spot in this life, and you got one life to live. So live it to your fullest potential.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question. Great question. You deserve to be there. Just tell them that. Tell them Candace said so.
Thank you.
Yes, Kate.
I love that you referenced the days of the week. Could you tell us what those are again? Because I hate Mondays and I need some inspiration.
Yes. So, you know, again, I don't know if I'm a big fan of Mel Robbins. I don't know if everyone knows Mel Robbins, but I read her High Five Habit, right? And I saw her in person at a business retreat. She was virtually, but she was there, right? And she talked about how you need to get your butt in the mirror every day and give yourself a high five. Because even when I'm going to the gym, it's me against me. I don't want to go to the gym, but I know I got to go to the gym. And it's you fighting against you. You are your worst critic. I am, even for me, sometimes I don't want to get out of bed. And I'm a motivational speaker, so I got to walk the walk and talk the talk. So here I am. But yes, so I get up every day with intention, right? So what is your intention when you get up out of that bed? So Mondays are motivational Monday. Tuesdays are terrific Tuesdays. Wednesdays, sometimes I do 2 words. Wonderful winning Wednesday. What are your wins? Celebrate your wins. Thankful Thursday. Today is Thankful Thursday. So I try to live in gratitude. Before I go to bed, in my journal, I'll write down, or in my phone, that's my journal, 3 things that I'm thankful for. 3 things that you're thankful for, right? Gratitude. And I'm thankful that I still have my health. I'm thankful that I know a lot of family members that passed away through COVID with their health issues. You know, that was tough. Friday is Fantastic Friday. Fantastic Friday. Sometimes Faithful Friday, depending on my mood. If I need a lot of prayer just to get through the Friday, because sometimes I don't want to show up on a Friday. I want to leave and go golfing at 2 o'clock. Super Saturday or Self-Care Saturday. Those are some ones that I use on my socials. And then Spiritual Sunday. Take time for pausing and for my faith.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
This one's for me. What do you do when you're feeling out of whack or you need to recenter or blow off steam? Like, what's your go-to activity?
I go outside and I take a walk, just 15 minutes. Even if it's just in your house, I sometimes, when I get really mad and frustrated, I'll walk up and down the basement stairs just because I got to burn off I have to shut off socials. I have to shut off the computer. I just completely just disconnect for just at least 15 minutes, at least. Music sets me on fire. Music, I was actually listening to some hype up music. Randy, I needed you as my hype man in the car. But music is what gets me going. I have songs, and it hypes me up to get here. So yeah, music is the key that lights me on fire.
What's your favorite hype song?
Mary J. Blige, Just Fine. Want me to play it? No, I'm just kidding. It's on my playlist. You know, it's interesting because for my 50th birthday, when I started this journey, I wanted to make sure that when I started my business, I wanted to be legitimate. I wanted to make sure that I was, when I'm ready to exit corporate, because eventually that is my plan, right? It's not today because I'm enjoying where I am today. I'm enjoying being this healthcare professional. I love what I do. Advocate Aurora, their mission is we help people live well, and I live well every freaking day because they allow me to, right? It's an honor and a privilege to have that. But then for my business, I wanted to be legitimate. I remember going, figuring out my website. I'm in IT. I can't design my own website. I had to hire and contract somebody. So I was working with someone on that, hiring somebody to manage my social media content, right? Paying them on the side to do that, for me to trust them. Don't mess it up. Make sure it's perfect. But yeah, it was like all those things. And I remember, for my 50th birthday, I wanted to do something special. And I went to a photo branding, had a big old photo shoot and these beautiful pictures. And I'm like, man, I clean up nice. And I remember my aunt had passed away. I was in Los Cabos for my 50th last year. My aunt had passed away the day after my birthday when I was out of town. And it hit me because she was my godmother and I couldn't be there. And so I'm in Los Cabos. I'm feeling sorry for myself. I come back and I had to go to this photo reveal. And the photographer said, Candace, here's your 50th photo shoot, celebrating my journey, how far I've come. And she puts all these glamorous photos of me and she puts this song behind it. And it talks about how I'm flawless, and just to live in your light. And just the song was so perfect. And I was listening to that hype song too. So it was just pretty amazing. So again, find your hype song. Wake up in purpose every day. Don't be afraid, to take risk, and you can live your best life, and your past doesn't define who you're meant to be. Thank you. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Candace, so much.
Yes,
I feel
yes,
like
yes.
we all can take on the world now.
Oh yeah, okay. Take it on with me.
I know, right?
Come along,
Super
come along.
inspired. And for those on the call, I'm Megan Foch. I'm the Human Capital Director at Concurrency. And we just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in. I know in the Minnesota office, there's going to be a panel and some questions. And Jenna is rocking the virtual crew, so hang on and network virtually. And then here in Brookfield, we have an awesome panel as well. And then some after party, if you will, downstairs. So thank you, everybody. Take a break. There's refreshments in Brookfield. There's refreshments and snacks. I wish I could virtually hand them to you, and we'll get set up for the next session shortly. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for Minnesota.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yay. Enjoy your snacks.
I'm Dan. Nice to meet you, Sarah.
Yes.
No, I still don't know. I still don't want.
What do I want to do?
I can just stay here, right?
sorry guys, I had to go ahead and mute them. I don't think that they realized that they were still logged in. So for those of you that are still on virtually, I kind of just wanted to see if you guys had any thoughts, if you had any, questions that popped up, things that really resonated with you. Did you learn something new? Or is there anything that maybe just validated something you already felt?
Hi, Jackie here.
Hi.
Hi. I loved it. It was very inspirational and things that I already knew from my career development days, but she added quite a bit more. What a vulnerable thing too that she was able to share about her past. But I took notes the whole time, so thank you. It was amazing.
That's awesome. What specifically stood out? Anything that you're like, wow, that I need to remember that.
Definitely. Well, first of all, every single day of the week, that's going to be sitting in front of my face all the time. I love the divine design too, that it's not a coincidence. I've always believed that. Own it, claim it, is a big thing. And I really love that you're not your title, but I have some thoughts about that. But I like that all about the empowerment part is the fiber of your being, and to kind of harness that always. And I think that sometimes we forget to do that, and just to celebrate the journey and all the ups and downs. And sometimes we feel like we're in a ditch for a few days, and we can